Tansei, Oki, bonjour everybody. Hello. It is another Tuesday. It is Tuesday already, June 8th. I can't believe it's already June. What happened to half the year? I think I always say that. It's like I don't know what's happening to time. It's just speeding up. But yeah, I'm very happy and humbled to be able to share. I had an amazing night last night. I was in the Vagina Monologues, which was great. We did it online. It was a little bit different. In some ways, it was really lovely. In some ways, it was hard because I really miss live theater. I miss being there and sharing and hearing the laughter. I mean, it was awesome to be able to see like my fellow cast members, and when I was doing my piece, them like laughing so hard, tears were streaming down their face, so I know I was doing a good job. But it was still really strange. And I'm not even sure if we're ever going to go back to a sense of normal. But well, these are challenging times. These are really interesting. And, there's so many truths coming out. Pandora's box is definitely being opened, if you want to call it that. But it's been a challenging few years, actually. We went from a place, I went from a place where things were really, really good to a place where we are reliving a lot of trauma, where we're reliving a lot of pain. I know even in our family, there are things that we don't really talk about when it comes to, that legacy and that history of the residential school, but this has really forced us into a place where we need to talk about it. And, and to really face those traumas and that hardship head on. And so actually on the last week on Friday, me and my mom went to do like a pre-recorded church service. Usually I get really uncomfortable in churches. That's just me. I just always feel really uncomfortable. I feel very judged. I feel like I'm carrying a lot of weight whenever I walk into a church. But I think it's important work to be able to do that, to be able to share our stories and to be able to make people aware of what's happened. And it was very heavy. I did it with a very heavy heart, but at the same time, where my mom was sharing a lot of those messages of that hurt and that pain and that trauma that's kind of been entrenched, I followed up with that hopeful message, the hopeful message that we're still here, we're still alive. We still, even though we have all of this pain and this hurt and this trauma that we carry, I have found that path to my own healing through reclaiming my culture, through reclaiming teachings, through reclaiming the drum and the stories and the songs. And I think that's really important, that message of hopefulness, because sometimes I think when we read these news and we see these facts and we know that there's a lot more, graves to be uncovered and truths to be uncovered and hurt to be uncovered, it sometimes can get overwhelming and you feel frozen. And there's been a few moments this week when I've just felt frozen. I felt like I couldn't move. I felt like I couldn't speak. I felt like I couldn't sing. And I motivated myself to go and share because I thought that was very, very important to do so. But it's still really, really difficult because you're reliving your own hurt and your own pain and your own trauma when news like this comes out. But at the same time, I heal by supporting community. I heal by sharing in community. And so it's important that I continue to do the work that I'm doing. But before I do anything, I wanted to start with a welcome, just to acknowledge the land upon which we stand. So I'm from Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, which is in Saskatchewan, which is in Treaty 6 territory. But I live here in Mohkinstsis now, in Treaty 7 territory. In this, even though it's not my home, it feels like my home. It feels like I'm building community here. I'm building connections here. I have friends here that I consider family, and I'm so thankful and humbled to be here. I feel like this is exactly where you need to be. Creator says, he puts you exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be there. And sometimes we might not even realize it if we're not paying attention, if we're not opening our eyes. But I know that definitely Creator's brought me here for a purpose and for a reason, and I feel like I am on the right path here in Mohkinstsis, and I never felt that way back home. And so I honor my reserve, I honor Muskeg Lake, and I honor the teachings of my family and how it's brought me here. I still connect with my family all the time, and I love that place. But I know that this is my home. And so I honor the people of this land. I honor the Blackfoot of Siksika, Kainai, and Pagani. I have learned so much from so many incredible elders, and it's just amazing to me how when I sit with elders, how they share their stories so openly and so freely and with so much compassion and kindness and without judgment. And even though they're very, painful stories, they know that they need to be shared because that's how we heal, is through sharing those stories and getting them out. Because if we keep holding things in, they're never going to heal. They need to be heard in order to be acknowledged, in order to be heard, which is why this is exactly why we do the land acknowledgement, because it's acknowledging this is where we are. This is our sense of place. We acknowledge the Beaver people from Tsutsuna. We acknowledge the Stoney Nakoda from Morley, which includes Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. We acknowledge the families that have been here for thousands upon thousands of generations. And sometimes when you don't think in terms of generations, it seems like insignificant. But when we think in terms of generations, it creates the sense of place, the sense of belonging, the sense of relationship to the land and to each other, but also that sense of reverence for the people that have been here before us, for the stories that are steeped into this land, for that history, that really dark history that we've gone through, but we also have to rise above. We have to come together, educate people, and understand where those histories and where those traumas have led us and how we can break those chains to be able to move forward in a good way. And we can only do that with truth. So the more truth comes out, the better. I also honor the Métis Region 3. Here's why I proudly wear my Métis sash, to act as that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous culture. And I love to share the Cree Welcome Song just to welcome everybody into the circle in a good way. I'm always so proud and humbled when I share my songs, and when I share where I've learned them from or who's carried them before me, because I think that's such a huge part of reconciliation within. It's a huge part of, that's my resistance, that's my resilience, is by carrying those songs and carrying those stories and sharing them in a good way. And so I honor the Not the How family from Sturgeon Lake for keeping this song alive, because without them, this song wouldn't be here. Without their resilience and their ability to rise above and hold on to these teachings throughout those acts of genocide, whether it be through residential school, whether it be through the 60s scoop, all of these other things that have happened to our people. But our teachings are there, our songs and stories are there, and it's such a gift to be able to continue and maintain them. And this is why they need to be shared. The voices need to be shared, those stories need to be shared, and we need to connect to each other and build community to be able to share them in a meaningful way. And so when I sing this song, it's really about acknowledging everybody in the circle. It's acknowledging we are all connected, we are all created. This is something that we have to share in together. We have to share in this pain to be able to share in this healing. We need to be able to share, in those challenges to be able to rise above and work together for a better world for all of our future generations. Because it's not one or the other. And this division is not helping anybody. We need to be able to connect. And so Miasin, which is the Cree welcome song, it acknowledges everyone in that circle. It acknowledges everybody has different things to bring to the circle. It acknowledges, our hardships, our pain, our strength, our perseverance. It acknowledges everyone has talents, everybody has gifts, everybody is here for a purpose and for a reason. And sometimes when we don't discover that reason, it's sometimes easier to throw that blame on other people, but we need to start taking accountability for ourselves. And so Miasin, which is the Cree welcome song, it not only means welcome, it also means beautiful. I'm gonna stand up to sing. Miasin, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, miasin, miasen, niwagomaga hota homa kitaskino miasen miasen hasemina hasemina e peita kote niwagomagan hota homa kitaskino. Hi, hi, and welcome to the circle today, everybody. So, I'm going to share the healing song just because I think it's really, really necessary with everything that everyone is going through, everything that we're facing, and just to really honor the families that are hurting right now, honor the people who are hurting right now, that are carrying that grief deep within them, deep within their generations. I know myself, I am, because we've had family that have perished in the residential school, or cousins and aunties that have gone missing or have been murdered. And it really honestly is that history of genocide that Canada is built upon. Canada is built upon the bones of Indigenous people, and we have to start recognizing that. We have to start acknowledging that. And we can't just talk about it once in a while when something horrific happens or when something horrific is discovered. We have to talk about it every day. It has to be front of mind in order for things to change, in order for values to change, in order for the way that we look as Indigenous people as a whole to change. And it's really acknowledging that, it's a privilege to be on this land. It's a gift to be on this land. It's a gift to be here. And if you don't appreciate it and you don't really, understand the gravity of what has come before us, then really are you really appreciating the whole sense of your being, the whole sense of how you got here and your whole path in front of you? You're not, because you're seeing a very narrow glimpse of what it truly is. And so I wanted to share the Cree Welcome song just to acknowledge that everyone has a lot of healing to do. Everyone's carrying trauma in their own way. Everybody carries trauma in their bones, whether it be their family trauma that they're carrying forward, whether it be their own trauma, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual trauma. A lot of people feel disconnected from their true spirituality of their ancestors because, unfortunately, it has been torn away from them. Through acts of colonization across the globe. So it's not just here in Turtle Island in North America, it's across the globe. It happened to the Celtic people, where, crusaders came in and ripped away their belief system, ripped away their identity and who they were, and tried to assimilate everyone. And unfortunately, it's continued to happen in all countries around the world. So any Indigenous people, and everyone's Indigenous somewhere, it's recognizing, how do we get back to those Indigenous roots? How do we get back to our ancestors? How do we get back to the core of who we are? And the way that we do that is through healing. It's through deeply healing our wounds and the wounds that we carry from those generations before us. And so this song, when I sing it, it's not just for Indigenous people, it's for all people. The song was usually only a ceremonial song, and it was actually shared with me by, oh my gosh, probably like 7 different elders. And so Carrie Moore, my elder Miriam, my other elder Sharon, my elder Bert, my Mushum. There was a bunch of elders that actually had shared this song, but it just struck me that they said this song, because it's a ceremony song, usually it's only sung in ceremony, but now is a time where we have to bring ceremony back. We have to bring ceremony back to the world. And this is a time when everyone needs that healing. Everybody needs that connection. We need to heal from the wounds of our ancestors in order to move forward and leave a better world for our future generations. And this song is that tool. It's the tool to help us move forward and a tool to help us heal. in everything in your life. And so when we sing this song, we do it as a heartbeat. It's also called the crying song or the wailing song because tears are healing. When you let out those tears, you're letting out those things, you're acknowledging those things that are hurting. And by doing that, it doesn't mean you won't feel those things anymore, but it means that you've let them out so they're not going to pull you down. But when we drum this song, we sing it, of course, in 4 rounds to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel. But the third, we actually stop drumming. And in that stillness and in that moment, we allow people to just breathe and to think of the things in their life, the people that they need in their life, those things as a whole, the society needs to be able to heal from those, to be able to hold that in your heart and really set that intention for healing. And then when that drum beat comes back in, you just let out that energy, let out that intention to the universe, and you let Creator, God, Allah, Buddha, whoever you believe in, whoever you're sending your prayers to, you just let that work be done, because that's not your responsibility. But that intention is your responsibility. And so this is the Cree healing song, the crying song or the wailing song. Hey, 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 oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, oh. Hey, 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 oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, oh. Hey, hey, oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, oh. Hey, hey, oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, way high, oh, way high, way high, oh. I have a very heavy heart right now, and I find when I'm going through emotional things, it comes right here, it comes right into my throat, because that's my gift, and I find your gift gets stifled when you're emotional. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about you murdered and missing Indigenous women, and how interconnected it is to the residential school. So this is something that was instilled in us in the residential school, was that women did not have value. Women didn't have an important role to play, even though in our societies before colonization, we had very matriarchal societies where women actually made the decisions for everybody, because when women make decisions, when it's a matriarchal society, they make sure nobody gets left behind. It isn't about power, it isn't about who's in charge and making decisions that way, but it's about who helps coordinate those decisions in the community. And so this is why it's so important that we reclaim our power as women. It's important that we, honor the voices of Indigenous women as the leaders in the forefront, which honestly is like they have been leading in the forefront in the last, 20, 30, 40 years. Women have always been stepping into those roles. And so it's a gift to be able to know and carry so many women's songs. And I wanted to share the Women's Honor Song. This song is from Joan Henry, and she's Arapaho and Cherokee. And I'm just really thankful and humbled that we kind of came across this song, sent her a message, asked her if we would be able to share it. And she was just so gracious about it. She's like, yeah, just let people know who it's from. And I'm like, yeah, it's from Joan. So, this song is really about acknowledging the strength that we have as women. And yesterday, being in the Vagina Monologues, of course, you're like, yeah, women. But the one thing that I really am hoping for is when we do the vagina monologues again, that we have the voices of all women. Because one voice that was lacking was the voice, other than Two-Spirit women, because of course I'm a Two-Spirit woman, was the voice of trans women. And I wanted to hear that voice. And I always want to hear that voice. There's this beautiful piece that should be spoken through the eyes and the voices and the experiences of trans women, and that wasn't present in the show. So I'm definitely reaching out. I'm setting a call out for next year to all of my beautiful trans women, my friends, that your voice needs to be heard, your story needs to be heard, and this is just a beautiful platform and to be able to do it. And so it's anyone who identifies as female. And I think as soon as we see the word vagina, we just assume one thing, but I think we need to start looking at it in broader terms and, being more inclusive, which, I mean, our world is changing, which is so beautiful to see where it is now versus where it was 20 years ago. It's a gift. And so when we sing this song, it's to honor all women and that pulse that connects each and every one of us from our beautiful Mother Earth, that pulse of our ancestors that leads us forward, and just that pulse that's within each and every one of us. It reminds us of, that bouncing, that pulsing that we tend to do, especially when we're comforting babies. There's always that bounce, that pulse that we always get into. And it's just such a gift to be able to have that naturally flowing through your being. And so many people possess that, and that's truly what that's what a woman is. Whether you be trans or whether you are, this is just how you are, it's really about honoring everyone's voice in that circle, because I think we forget to. So this is the Women's Honor Song. I always honor my drums, so this is a moose drum, so it's a women's drum. Anageya, weha weya, weha no way, weha weya, we ah we ah we ah 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 anageya, weha weya, weha no way, weha weya, we ah we ah we ah ah ah. When away, no way, when away we are, when away, no way we yo hey we are, way high, way high, way high, we are, Anagaya, way high, we are, way high, no way, way high, we are, we are, we are, we are. When away, no way, when away we are, when away, no way we yo hey we are, way high, way high, way high we are, Anagaya, share women's songs today because it's just it's definitely on my mind. So when I sing the mother song, again, as a mom, as a caregiver, this has just always been front of mind. So when I learned this song as the mother song, it just resonated with me so deeply, as I couldn't imagine, being, my mom or my kukum or, my great nukamas, having your kids taken away from you would be really, really difficult. I couldn't even imagine. It would be devastating, and to know that you had no control over what was happening to them, if they were safe, if they were being harmed. And so I understood why my kukum moved off reserve as soon as she got the chance. She joined the Air Force and she was just out of there because she didn't want to subject her kids to be raised in residential school. But unfortunately, that trauma, that abuse, that pain was already instilled in her, and she didn't know how to break that cycle, unfortunately. And so that legacy carried forward, even though they weren't there on the reserve, that was still with them. Even though they were on different army base after different army base, that abuse and that hurt and that hardship and that trauma was still there. And that, of course, translated into my generation through my mom. And I'm very, very thankful that I was able to break that cycle of abuse with my own kids. And the way that I did that was by recognizing that that wasn't mine to carry. That was stuff that was put on my family. That's not my legacy. My legacy is my teachings, it's my songs, it's the strength of my ancestors, it's our perseverance and our resilience. My legacy is my voice, and the voice of all my ancestors that I carry forth in my songs and my stories, and that's the legacy that I choose to continue. I want to instill in my kids that same strength, the same resilience, to be proud of who they are and the blood that runs through their veins, that there's nothing wrong with them, that they are beautiful just the way they are. They are gifted, and they are a gift. Creator has put them on this earth for a reason, and I never ever wanted them to doubt that. And I wanted to raise them the way that I wish I was raised. And so that was my resilience. That was my resistance. And it continues. And I'm very, very thankful to be able to share that with my kids. And so this song, the mother song, it honors all those moms and grandparents and fathers and caregivers who had those children taken away from them. And this isn't something that just happened years and years and years ago. The last residential school was closed in 1996. That's not long. If I lived on reserve, I would have gone to that school. So that hits home. It really does. It hits home. But also, we have the same thing happening still to this day with the foster care system and the social system, where without questions asked, kids are taken from reserve, they're taken from their families, and they're put into care. And it damages those families. It tears them apart, and it just brings up those memories that are entrenched in our system. That is in the residential school. There's more kids in care now than there ever were in the residential school. And so this is something that we need to acknowledge. And we need to acknowledge the parents that didn't get an opportunity to parent or even learn how to parent. And so I honor them with this song. You can hear that mother, that caregiver calling out, and the kids calling back as they drift further and further and further away. But it's really about coming home. ya yo, way ya, hey ya ho, way ya. Way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya ho, way hey ya, hey ya, hey ya yo. Way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya ho, way ya. Way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya ho, way hey ya, hey ya, hey ya yo. Way hey ya, hey ya, hey ya yo, way 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 ya, hey ya ho, way ya. Way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya yo, way ya, hey ya ho. The water song just popped into my head, so I'm going to share the water song. I always trust what needs to be shared will be shared, and I think that's really important to do. I think, especially in our very colonized world, we have like this structure, this set way of doing things. Like everything has to be scheduled and everything has to be in a certain way. And I think it's really important to just speak from your heart and share from your heart. And so I'm not very scripted, but oh, thank you, Carolyn. Hi, Carmen. So this song is the water song, and it always makes me thirsty. It teaches us about really acknowledging the water that runs through our veins, the water that connects each and every one of us, because if it wasn't for the water, nobody would be in North America, because of course they had to sail across the water to be able to discover. I mean, we were already here, so we didn't really discover anything, but to be able to connect with the people here. And this is why there's blue in the Métis sash to represent the water, to represent the waters that have connected us, and the waters that run throughout Turtle Island, which had facilitated trade and facilitated a way of life, but also have connected us. Water is our emotions. This is why we have tears when we're upset or frustrated or whatever, but it's really about deeply connecting to the water and acknowledging, because our emotions are like water, they will ebb and flow, and it's okay to let them flow. And so this is the water song, the Anishinaabe water song. And I believe the Akwesasne singers share it, and it's a very beautiful song. There's a few different groups online that share it. Wishita do ya, wishita do ya day. 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 Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey ya. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey ya. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey ya. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey ya. Wishatanaya, hey ya, hey. Wishita do ya, wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish it I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish it I do ya, do ya, day. Wish it I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish it I do ya, do ya, day. Wish it I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish it I do ya, do ya, day. Wish it I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish it I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. Wish I do ya, ya do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I hey ya, hey ya, hey. 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 Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. Wish I do ya, do ya, do ya. Wish I do ya, do ya, day. So that is the water song, so I sing it so that water can bring us healing, because it is healing. You know, when we cry, when we let out our tears, it's so healing. So don't hold them back, because this is how you get stress and anxiety and all of those terrible, terrible things. It's because we keep holding back our emotions when we need to honor them as they come so they don't build up. And so, that being said, I want to share the Creator song, because I've really been thinking about this song, and I shared it with the school today, and it's such a gift. I forget how much I love this song and how much it just verified and confirmed the path that I'm on. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad. But this song was gifted to me by a friend of mine. I was singing on her album and with my son, and then she gifted this song that she had learned from an elder who told her to share it. And in turn, I ended up going and sharing it with my auntie, my great aunt, who's actually in care right now. And so as I was drumming and singing, she started singing along, and I was like, Auntie, how do you know this song? And she's like, no, how do you know this song? This was our family song. Where did you find it? And it just, at the time, I was really struggling to see if I was on the right path. And then when she said that, it was just like, oh, yes, of course I'm on the right path. This is the path, not for myself. This is for my family. This is for my ancestors. This is for, all of our communities that are suffering and are hurting. And when you get out from that place of ego and you just go to a place of where you want to share, everything in your life just tends to just fit into place when you're on the right path, when you're using the gifts that Creator gave you to give back to community, because that's what we need to be doing. It's not about the money. It's about, that sharing, that ability, and that gift that we all have. And so this song really reminds me of that. It reminds us of the sacred breath that we all share. I always, when I work with kids, I'm like, take a deep breath, and they do, and I'm like, you're sharing the same breath as a dinosaur, and they're like, what? But it's true. It reminds us of the sacred breath of life that we all share. All of the plants, all of the animals, we all share in that sacred breath. And so this song really reminds us of that. It reminds me to stay humble, and that if I'm ever looking for, verification, it comes in the strangest ways. And so always to be open to the teachings that Creator has and that will send to us in different ways, sometimes the most unexpected ways. Whether it be a knock on the door and a conversation, or whether it be just a question that somebody randomly has when I'm teaching, but just always to continue to give back to community. And so this is the Creator song. Oh, I need to fix my drumstick. No. I think I'm going to share the Thunderbird song. So the Thunderbird teaches us so much. It teaches us so much about ourselves. It said everything happens for a reason. So the Thunderbird is like that force. It's that thing that pushes us forward. It's fate or destiny, if you want to call it that. It's our ancestors leading us forward. It's those future generations laying out that path for them. But it reminds us that, you know, we have a choice. Every moment that we face has a choice. We can either learn from it, and we can see that joy and see that wisdom in it, or we can kind of feel bad about it and let it drag us down. And so this song really helped me when I got hit by a truck because, you know, you go in and out of the hospital for like 4 surgeries over like 5 years, and it's hard, but I knew that that accident happened to put me on the path that I'm on now. And so I'm very thankful and I'm humbled. I mean, I wish the lesson was a little bit more gentle, but it did put me on the path that I needed to be on. And so I am thankful for that lesson. And sometimes the worst things can happen to us, but then later on you see it was for the best reasons. And sometimes we feel like, you know, we could go back and change something, but we can't. We can't go back in time and change anything. And the more we look back, the more we stumble forward. So it's really important to just keep your eye, you know, in the moment, present, and, you know, honor those future generations, honor those mistakes that we have made in the past, because that's what has given us strength and wisdom beyond our years in some cases. But to really acknowledge that it's important to have those experiences, whether they be good or bad, because they define and they shape who we are. They define and they shape our lives, and the Thunderbird helps us along that path. But if we're making the same mistake over and over and over again, if we're stuck in a rut, the Thunderbird will keep throwing challenges at us to get out of that rut. And if we don't, eventually the Thunderbird is going to go and kick us in the butt and put us on the right path. And that's truly what happened to me with that accident. And it did. It kicked me in the butt and it put me on the right path. And in that moment, I could either have chosen to be sad and be like, oh, why does this always happen to me? or go, hey, why did this happen to me? Where do I need to go next? And that's when, my attitude changed, and I looked at everything as a gift and everything as an opportunity. I know that sounds like really like hippy dippy, but it's true. I try and see the hope in every situation, even hopeless situations, even situations that hurt. And when people come at me with lateral violence, I send healing back to them, because I think that truly shows more strength than fighting back. So this is the Thunderbird song to remind us to stay humble and be thankful for the journey, and be thankful for those challenges, and especially those challenging people, because they show you the strength of character that you have within. And if people are coming at you with lateral violence, it's because they're hurting, and to know that. And also it's because they need to heal. They're probably jealous in some way, shape, or form, but just send that love to them and that healing to them, and you just don't let them bother you, because it's not worth it. Don't give them your energy. They've got to work out their own stuff. So this is the Thunderbird song. Kichima peso, money to Kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, way highway yo. Kichima peso, money to Kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, way highway yo. Kichima peso, money to Kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, way highway yo. Kichima peso, money to Kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, way highway yo. Gosh, I love that song. Actually, now the bear song popped into my head, so I'm going to share that. And so I honor the bear spirit, that strength of courage, the courage to stand up for what's right, especially now in the face of like adversity and how challenging things are. Like, our political environment is just so devastatingly polarized, and we have to start recognizing that we're all human. We all want the same things. We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. And politics have just no place in love and acceptance. I'm sorry, but they don't. And just really to be more open to people's healing and the lessons that they need to learn, and not really forcing people to try to learn lessons. I mean, they have to learn it in their own time, but acknowledging that you can be there for them, but don't let them pull you down. So this song, like, the bear knows it can only be the bear. It can't be anything else. It can't be a bird. It can't be a fish. It has to be the bear. And you are your own bear, your own being, and to just live in your light and live with your gifts and share those gifts to honor community. Sometimes you have to step into roles that maybe you aren't comfortable with to make our community a better place. And the bear teaches us that. The bear teaches us that sometimes we need to adapt the world around us to be able to stand strong and to be able to guide community in a meaningful way. And so the bear is awesome. It also teaches us timing. So it teaches us that sometimes you just need to take a step back, let things kind of mellow, and then you can step in and help. But people need to learn their lessons on their own. And so this is the Anishinaabe Bear Song, which I've learned from many different sources. So I'm very, very thankful for this song. Money to my I'm gonna sing the I Love You song because I think we all need that right now. We need that love and appreciation. And this is the only Blackfoot song I know, and it was taught to me by two incredibly amazing Blackfoot women who have gone through so much, but still advocate for their community, advocate for their families. One advocates for her daughters who were murdered, and another advocates for her sisters who have gone missing and who've been murdered. And to see their strength, and just to see how they stand up with such grace and humility and kindness and compassion for their community, it's just inspiring. And this song really embodies that. It embodies that, you know, that joy that they bring, even though they've come through so much hardship. They have this joy and this love that they give back to community. And so, yeah, this is the I Love You song, Gitsikakamen. Originally, I believe it was written by Olivia Tailfeathers. Very, very lovely. And yeah, I'm very thankful to be able to share it. So this is the I Love You song, and I'm going to sing it to, I'm going to sing it to Mother Earth, which is Na'a. I'm going to sing it to the water, which is Ogoi, which my friend Latasha shared that word with me. I'm very thankful. I'm always thankful when I get to learn words, especially from other languages, that it's important to keep those alive. And then the last time to Mohinstis, which is where we live. So this is the I Love You song. Gitsikakamen. Gitsikakamen na, Gitsikakamen na, Gitsikakamen na, Gitsikakamen. Weya, weyo, weya, weyo, weya, weyo, Gitsikakamen, Gitsikakamen, oh goy, Gitsikakamen, oh goy, Gitsikakamen, oh goy, Gitsikakamen. Weya, weyo, weya, weyo, weya, weyo, Gitsikakamen, Gitsikakamen, Mohinstis, Gitsikakamen, Mohinstis, Gitsikakamen, Mohinstis, Gitsikakamen. Weya, weyo, weya, weyo, weya, weyo, Gitsikakamen, Gitsikakamen na, Gitsikakamen na, Gitsikakamen na, Gitsikakamen. Weya, weyo, weya, weyo, weya, weyo, Gitsikakamen. And now I'm going to share a final song, which is a travel song. Again, I learned it from my elder, Sharon Prue Turner. And then she passed, and I hadn't heard the song for a long time, and I thought it was lost. And then, lo and behold, two friends ended up coming here from Ontario and sharing the song again, and I was like, oh, it's back! And so, right when I needed it the most. And so I'm always really, really thankful and humbled when those things come right at the moment I need them. And so this is the Anishinaabe travel song to remind us all to have a safe journey ahead, to remind us that all roads lead to home, because home is where we make it, it's where we connect, it's where we take care of each other, it's community, it's also that home within us, to remember to be gentle with ourselves and be kind with ourselves, especially when, you know, really hard truths come out, when really hard things are happening in the world around us that we feel like there's no way to control them, that we feel like the whole world is spinning out of control. But it's important to just love yourself and be gentle with yourself and know that you're not going to be able to change it overnight, but you do what you can for your community a little bit at a time, and you're going to see those ripples throughout the community. It's just like a little pebble gets thrown in the ocean, and it might just become a wave on the other side. So just keep up the good work. Keep keep strong, keep healthy, reach out if you need help, if you need a hug. I know it's weird with COVID times, and it's just been humbling to go to events and actually hug people, and just how much they almost saw because it's been so long since they've had a hug. And I think we forget how important that intimacy, and that hugging and that caring for each other deeply, how much we need that as human beings. That connection to each other is so, so important. And a funny story, I did have COVID, but I'm a hugger and I've hugged, I had every single person that I hugged, even though I had COVID, which I didn't realize at the time. Nobody else got sick. So, makes you wonder. But yeah, I even called everybody. I was like, "I hugged you. Are you okay? I hugged you. Are you okay?" But yeah, no one else got unwell. So I must be doing something right. And so this is the traveling song. May everyone have a safe week ahead, and may all roads lead home. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another Tuesday. Yes, and thank you for the kind words, Tanya. Much appreciated. So I do appreciate everyone kind of tuning in, and I hope that I've shared in a good way, and you come away just a little bit more at peace. Sending love and happiness and joy and healing. And I know times are hard, but if you ever need to have a conversation, I'm always chill. I'm always here, and I always make pockets of time. I know that our lives get busy, but it's also really important to be able to make time for, what matters, which is connection to each other and healing, and knowledge sharing. So, hi everyone. Thank you again so much, and have a beautiful rest of your week. I will see you next week.